Shab. Hi everyone! How are you guys doing? Did you guys have a good day? Hello, 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 hi! Hello! Hello, hello, hello! Hello, hello! Did you guys have a good day? Hello, hello, hello! Dun, na, 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 na. Oh, I love this song. I think this is the best Dragon Age intro. Sue me! Sue me! I know some of you love the Origins one, but I think this is the best one. Hello, hello, hello! Potatoes and stuff. Hello, hello. Did you guys have a good day? Hello, 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 hello. So, I know Inquisition music does really well. Goes really hard. You know, and I feel like I hope that Dragon Age Veilguard it does even better. It does even better. I really hope so. You're full of pizza? Nice, nice. My day's going well. My day's going well. I'm excited to watch with you guys a video that was released about it's a talk of Dragon Age Veilguard and the devs, and we'll start with that, and then we'll go to Dishonored. Renaming it to the Veilguard means Dad will never come home from this store. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Now, BioWare got a bunch of people to get daddy issues because Dad never came home. Hey, Rainbow! Hey, hey! Mwah! Hello, hello, how are you doing? Did you guys have a good day? Hello, hello. We'll start in a second. In a second. Hold on, give me 1 second. We go. Wait, what? I don't know what that means. You just wanted Dad for Christmas? Well, you're not having Dad for Christmas. Oh man, oh man. What do we do? What do we do while we wait for people to come? So then we can start. We sit? We sit? Boo is not here. Well, I could bribe him to come here. Do you guys want to bribe Boo? Yeah. Let me. We'll play Dishonored in a bit. Yep. We bribe. We bribe. Hold on. Do you guys want more Dragon Age music? Meanwhile. Yeah. I'll just put it below her, and then I'll go bribe Boo. 1 second. Like my wiener socks? Yeah? Yeah? Oh yeah. Look at him. Look how majestic he is. Ah, oh, thank you. 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 Than Chris!
Is it a day 2 of Murder Free Dishonored, or are we accepting the murderous nature of Boo?
I think I will accept my murderous nature, Chris. You know, it's just how it will go. Chris, thank you so much for the 8 months of support. Thank you. Ace Benoy. Socks plus wiener is always a good thing. Oh yeah. Eric, were you looking at Boo? Good. That means your eyes were in the right place. Oh my gosh. Nick's Goddess of the Night, thank you so much for the 2 months of support. Thank you. While I was bribing Boo, thank you. I really appreciate that. And the Rainbow Venom Duck, thank you so much for the 5 months. Sun Sprite, thank you so much for the 4 months. Thank you. So, we are going to be watching together a video of Dragon Age Veilguard. And then we are going to go back to Dishonored. Just give me 1 second. Okay, let's start. Hold on. Well, what games are you guys looking forward to? Oh my gosh, hold on. Wait, I didn't kill that Empress! What are you talking about? What's up with people just gaslighting me? Oh my gosh. Dark Souls 2 Dune? Wait, is there going to be a Dune game? Baldur's Gate 3 Patch 7 for Zenary? Yeah, I'm really excited for that too, for Zenary. Salty, thank you. Thank you so much for the Prime. Thank you, I appreciate your support, you Blackjack. And Hookies for Boo. Thank you. Dune Souls? Wait, Dune? Wait, really? Do you guys want to quickly watch the trailer for that? I didn't know that was a thing. I just had no idea until now. Nah? Is this made up? Oh my gosh. Metaphor? Do we have a release date for that game named Expedition? Sigmay, Merrick, thank you so much for your subscription. Your support goes directly to Blackjack and Hookers for this bunny. It's very cute. Thank you. And I hope you enjoy your bunny meals. I drew them myself lots of love. And the bunny is gone? The bunny is gone. It's the best view we have of the bunny. It's real? Okay. But let's go do the Dragon Age stuff. For the new World of Warcraft expansion. Enotria, new Dragon Age. You have to play Second and Inquisition first. We'll definitely be playing the second Dragon Age and Inquisition on stream. I'm just kind of like waiting a little bit on that because I wanted BioWare to release a date for Dragon Age Veilguard. But how do I say this? I kind of like have a feeling that this game's gonna get delayed. I don't know why. Say thanks, thank you. Mwah. Say thanks, thank you. Divinity Original Sin Lone Wolf. I've played that before. Thank you. I feel like Lone Wolf might be easier than not Lone Wolf, right? Thank you, thank you. Feeling inside, no, Swadaga, I don't have any inside source or anything like that. I just have this weird feeling. It's because the reason why I have this weird feeling towards Veilguard, it's because I find that the way that BioWare is announcing news and talking about Dragon Age Veilguard to be very pathetic, silly, weird. I just feel like it's almost like they're not trying to market the game. So it's almost like they're trying to take it slow. It just seems weird. I don't know why. Like, for example, I only learned about this video with the devs and all this because a friend of mine happened to look for Dragon Age Veilguard on YouTube and it showed up. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. Anyways, let's watch it. Let's watch this and see how it goes.
I remember.
Is Daja good? Hold on.
I remember.
Is this good?
When Dragon Age Origins came out, playing that game, day one purchase. I love RPGs, and I'd never played anything like it. To be honest, it kind of blew my mind. It really felt like a step forward.
Is it too loud? Is it good?
And I fell in love with the characters. I fell in love with the presentation. Had all the strategy I was looking for. I was in awe of that game. And
strategy, that's
sit
good.
Here now, working on the next edition of Dragon Age. It's a dream come true.
I owe my career to Dragon Age. I've grown as a person and grown as a game developer with it, and I'm so excited to finally be able to talk about Veilguard especially.
This is really the best Dragon Age game that I've ever played. I obviously carry some bias because I'm coming into it partially from the outside.
Is it Mark Dara?
Yeah, this is the best one. This is the one where we get back to our roots of character-driven storytelling, have really fun combat, and aren't making compromises.
Every game has heart and soul that goes into it. But this is something different. This is something more.
Okay, just some context. The dev who said this is the best Dragon Age game he has ever played, that's Mark Dara. He was basically the head behind Dragon Age Origins and a bunch of other Dragon Ages. So I feel like he say that because he probably feel like they improved their craft. So that's something good. Yeah. Oscar Renner, thank you so much for the 6 months of support. Thank you. Well, let's see. Let's see. Rawr! They forgot to put the dragon's voice.
I'm John Epler. I am the creative director for Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Been at BioWare for coming up on 17 years this year. I pull together the story, the vision, the kind of creative intent of not just the game, but how it relates to Dragon Age as a whole, the storytelling we're doing, and all that sort of thing.
My name's Corinne Bush. I'm the game director on Dragon Age: The Veilguard. I joined BioWare just shortly after Anthem had launched, and fortunately the opportunity came along to join my dream franchise, Dragon Age.
I'm Mark Dara. I am the former executive producer for the Dragon Age franchise. I was executive producer on Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, and Dragon Age Inquisition.
One of the things we wanted to make sure with Veilguard is that it's respectful and referential to previous games without feeling like you needed to have played Inquisition or DA2 or DAO to understand what's going on. So while there are references, there are moments that we have callbacks, it really is its own story, its own continuation with a different cast, with different characters. Historically, Dragon Age has always had a different cast per game, so that gives us a lot of freedom in terms of what we want to lean on in the past and what we want to really bring in that's new and forward-facing.
Okay, that's good information, because I feel like one of the reasons why Baldur's Gate 3 was so successful was because Baldur's Gate 3 was very welcoming to new players, especially because it was something that they had especially to do well, because if they didn't, a lot of people who really liked Baldur's Gate 2, you know, they might not be around to even play Baldur's Gate 3 because it has been what? It was 20 years in between the games. So when we talk about Dragon Age, if they would require somebody to play, it should be able to understand Dragon Age, the Veilguard, they would need probably around that too, because you would need to have played Origins, Dragon Age 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, all the DLCs in between. That's a lot of time. Plus, there has been 10 years since the last Dragon Age. So I think it's really good that they are aware of that, and that the heads of the studio and the game are bringing it up. I feel like it's a good sign. It's a really good sign.
The thing that happened in 2023 that I love is that it blew the doors open in terms of what a storytelling RPG could be, where you had Baldur's Gate 3 and you had Zelda and you had all of these games, Starfield, come out in the same year and say, this is a storytelling RPG. They're very different from each other. You can like some of these, you can like all of these, but the genre can be bigger. We're learning on each other, we're building foundations that we can build upon. So I think there are going to be a lot of people who picked up their first RPG last year that are going to be looking to pick up something new and could really find something to love in Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Hey! I remember when Baldur's Gate just became huge, and a bunch of people started coming to my Twitch channel and talking about Baldur's Gate, how much they liked. And I remember a few people that even say that they never played the story games. In fact, there was somebody who said that they only played Counter-Strike, and they started playing Baldur's Gate, and they loved it. And to me, when people find love in RPGs, that's everything I am looking for. I just love when more people start loving what I love so much. And if Dragon Age is going to hopefully give people another opportunity like this, it would make me really happy. Hey! Oh, Cambria, welcome. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Thank you for the kind words and welcome. I'm so happy to have you. My bunny? Where's my bunny? Oh, look at him. He's all messy. It's his nap time. He's usually very active. He's a little punk. Oh, can you fix his hair? Well, I didn't really fix it, right? He's just very sleepy. You were a Call of Duty player before Baldur's Gate? Oh man, I'm glad you're enjoying, something new now. Okay, let's keep going.
Chuckles, hope I'm not interrupting.
One thing that worries me about Dragon Age Veilguard is that you guys see this egg on the screen. This egg on the screen is kind of like, he has a complicated story, and he has big part, at least in the beginning of the story of Veilguard. And I really hope that they do a really good job introducing the egg to new people. Because some people are extremely sexually attracted to this egg. Some people hate this egg. Some people see this egg as an idol. So this egg is a big part of Dragon Age. The egg? The egg on the screen. Yeah, you see the egg? Yeah. So I really hope they do a good job.
Let's buy him some time.
Now, I want to be clear, I adore Solas. I'm a solo Valen player, but this is not a game about Solas. So, in all things we do, trying to capture that authentic experience, we felt the title really needed to change.
Dreadwolf suggests a title focused on a specific individual, whereas Veilguard, much like Inquisition, focuses more on the team, focuses more on the group, focuses more on the party than it does on one specific person.
The absolute beating heart of this game are these authentic, diverse companions. And when we took a step back, as we always do, we always check our decisions and make sure that they still represent the game we're trying to build. It just felt like we needed a title that represented what this game was truly about.
I think it was absolutely the right choice. Names can take on a momentum. Arguably, this game has kind of, in a way, been called Dreadwolf since its earlier days. And as the game evolved, as the game figured out exactly what it was, it's very mature to step back and say, we called it something, does it really still reflect what the game is? And I think the fact that the team was willing to take that step is amazing, and I think this is absolutely the right
I think it's just bad because we can't call Dragon Age Dad anymore, and now Dad's not coming for Christmas. But I feel like that's the biggest downside, the lack of dad jokes.
And the whole world is going to look a lot like this.
One of the principles we took to when we were building the story of the Veilguard early on was we wanted the beginning of the game to feel like the final chapter of an earlier story. You know, at the end of Trespasser, Solas said he was going to end the world, tear down the Veil, and so you start the Veilguard having chased Solas to the city of Minrathous in the Tevinter Empire, there to stop his ritual, there to take him down, and so you're working with Varric, you're working with other characters, Scout Harding, Nev, who is the detective. You're there to find this character, so you're chasing him, you're trying to stop this ritual that he's already said multiple times that he's going to perform before he performs it, because if he does, the Veil get torn down, Fade and the world of the Waking will merge, and demons will pour out, pretty much meaning the end of life as we know it.
You know, the thing that is so amazing about Veilguard is this is the game where we finally said out loud that BioWare's greatest strength is telling stories through characters. If you go all the way back to Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, these are games that are telling stories through characters, but there wasn't an intentionality behind that. And in this game, we're finally putting that intentionality first and foremost, putting the characters first, building the game around those character moments, around those characters, which is really the best way that BioWare knows how to tell stories.
The most interesting villains to myself, and honestly to most people, are not just straight up, I just want to end the world. To them, they are the heroes of the story, and Solas is no exception. Solas always feels that he is a tragic hero, but a hero nonetheless. So he's coming into this believing firmly that what you stopped him from doing was the right thing, that you made a mistake, but because now he's trapped, now he can't, reach out and actively affect, he needs to work with you. And that allows us to provide a lot of nuance to the relationship, because Solas sees a lot of himself in you, especially the parts of himself that he maybe doesn't like to face. So there is kind of that interesting push and pull between the two characters, Solas and the main protagonist, Rook, and you can define what that relationship means. You can continue to be suspicious and hostile towards him, or you can start to see him and find that common ground, find that connection between the two of you, and really develop a different relationship over the course of the story.
This is a
Okay. There's a lot of things I want to say. Hold on. There's a lot to unpack here. Asmap, thank you so much for the 5 months. Thank you. So hold on. I should have paused before, because now he talked about so many things. They talked about the Veil. God. Shit. I lost the line of thought. Gosh. Man, 1 second. Hold on. Was it here?
Down, and so you're working with Varric, you're working with other characters, Scout Harding, Nev, who is the detective, you're there to find this character, so you're chasing him, you're trying to stop this ritual that he's already said multiple times that he's going to perform before he performs it, because if he does, the veil get torn down, Fade and the world of the Waking will merge, and demons will pour out, pretty much meaning the end of life as we know it.
Okay. Here. What I understand from what he's saying here is that in the very beginning of the game, the Veilguard, Solas, the egg, is going to end the world as people know it. And to me, of course, this is just a speculation from what I have been hearing. To me, it sounds like Solas is bringing upon the world of Dragon Age the equivalent of what the Sundering was to the world of Dragon Age. Of the world of Dungeons and Dragons. Not Dungeons and Dragons. Forgotten Realms, sorry. So it's almost like Solas is not, possibly not the main bad guy, because if he was, maybe they would have kept the name Dreadwolf, but he brought that change into the world, and that's also possibly a very good thing, because that means that if you're a new player to the franchise and you don't know anything about the rules of the universe and all that, it's a new opportunity for you to learn that right there and then. It's like they're destroying the concept, they're breaking apart the rules of the universe. It's like the Great Sundering did in the Forgotten Realms, and it's almost like they're starting that slate anew. And depending on how you decide to treat Solas, you might either, I don't know, maybe maintain a relationship with him, or maybe even having to fight him later down the road. But I don't think Solas is the main problem of the game, but it's the catalyst to the main problem that none of us know what it is. Does it make sense? And I feel like that's honestly, considering how old the franchise is and how many games we are in the franchise, that's probably the best way to do it. We were like here.
Give a good conclusion to all of
he maybe doesn't like to face. So there is kind of that interesting push and pull between the two characters, Solas and the main protagonist, Rook. And you can define what that relationship means. You can continue to be suspicious and hostile towards him, or you can start to see him and find that common ground, find that connection between the two of you, and really develop a different relationship over the course of the story.
This is a good direction to take the Solas story. It allows us to hopefully give a good conclusion to all of the varied attitudes towards Solas that are going to be coming into this game. People who love Solas, people who agree with Solas, people who hate Solas, people who want to kick Solas off a building. I think that we give you the opportunity to bring that to a close, but then tell a greater story about the Veilguard and about the world as a whole.
Having worked on Inquisition, having worked on Veilguard, one of the things that we really wanted to lean into early on was Dragon Age has always been about characters, but to some degree it's almost felt like we've lucked into that. Inquisition is a story that ultimately you and the main characters you recruit at the beginning are the ones who have the biggest part to play. We wanted to tell a story this time where you literally cannot save the world without these characters. Beyond that though, we also wanted to give them their own arcs that run parallel to the main story and really give them that kind of deep storytelling that our fans really enjoy and really thrive. So these followers or these companions don't just exist by themselves, they have relationships with each other as well. They have friendships, they have rivalries, and lean into that concept. You're not just pulling together a bunch of people who will do whatever you say, you're assembling a family, and that becomes the core of what the Veilguard is all about. It's about taking this group, this found family, and saving the world side by side with them.
This is a story told through characters, but it is a story that's going somewhere. In Origins, a lot of things were done just to do them. In Veilguard, things are done towards a goal, towards a storytelling goal, towards the future. So this is a game which takes the ball that Inquisition had, puts its own spin on it, has its own characters, takes its own direction, but continues that path forward into the future.
One of the principles we wanted to get into with Dragon Age, the Veilguard, is the world exists even when you're not around, There are things, there are, ancient conflicts, there are grudges, things that happen even when Rook, the protagonist, isn't participating in them, and you kind of come in media res in some of these. So the message of the Veilguard is you're not saving the world on your own. You need your companions, but you also need these factions, these other groups in the world. You help them, they help you. Now, something we wanted to avoid, because there's always the trope of, oh yeah, I would help you save the world, but I need you to go gather 200, wood. 200 wood, exactly.
Okay. What Mark there talked about Origins just doing things to do them, I'm not sure what he's talking about. Like, I really wish he had brought an example, because I played the game quite recently. We played it on the stream, and I just can't think of something like this. They are talking about now, like, bringing wood. Hold on.
But you also need these factions, these other groups in the world. You help them, they help you. Now, something we wanted to avoid, because there's always the trope of, oh yeah, I would help you save the world, but I need you to go gather 200, wood. 200 wood, exactly. It's kind of a silly concept. So what we wanted to build is these factions that do want to help you, but have realistic challenges, problems in front of them. So narratively, you help them with their problems. They will help you with yours when the time comes. But beyond that, each faction has a follower, as well as ancillary character we're calling agents, who exist as these face of the faction. We're not going to get too deep into those right now, but we didn't want to just say, here's the wardens, go deal with the war. We wanted to have characters within that faction who are sympathetic, who you can see and who become the face of that faction. So even if there's moments where the faction as a whole may be on the outs with you, these characters are still with you. They've still got your back.
Okay. So basically, I feel like that, even though Mark there brought Origins, I feel like that Wood comment is more like about Inquisition. Dragon Age Inquisition was a single player game that felt like an MMO. It was extremely vast. The world didn't have a lot of detail. The quests were not really connected to the main story. It was just kind of like random stuff sometimes. So I feel like this is honestly a good sign that they are acknowledging the problems that they had in the past and avoiding it. So they are trying to make sure that the game feels more connected. So remember how has been so many games, and each game has kind of introduced the player a different faction. In the first game, you're part of the Grey Wardens, and then there's a lot more that goes on, and there's the Chantry. There's so many different factions in this game, and I feel like they want to introduce those factions to the new players and to the people who never interacted with Dragon Age in a good way. And I feel like that's good to be careful, because it's a lot of information. So Larry, thank you so much for the 5 sub-gifts. Thank you. Thank you.
It's the core of what we've done with the storytelling in this game. We wanted to make sure all the content you did felt relevant. Everything you do has a purpose and has a tie back into the critical path. Sometimes it's more explicit than others, but there is always a sense that you're moving towards the goal of stopping the Elven Gods, stopping the end of the world. And it's not just, and I love Dragon Age Inquisition, but the side content, it's not just finding the ring, someone's ring, and returning to them. It's helping these people, helping these groups, so they can help you when the time comes.
So when it comes to identity and iteration on the franchise,
wow, that's
we've
beautiful.
really moved it into a place where you have the highest of highs. It can be colorful, it can be optimistic, but also you can have the lowest of lows, where it gets gritty, it gets painful, it gets quite dark. But throughout it all, there's a sense of optimism, and it creates this delightful through line through the game, this identity that I really think is something special for the franchise now and going forward.
Should we be in more of a hurry to get out of here? We don't want to look conspicuous. Just get out of here nice and casual. Find Nev Gallus and stop Solas.
The interesting thing about Dragon Age the Veilguard is it takes part in a world of Thedas that we've only hinted at. We've never been there before. The Grey Warden Fortress of Weishaupt, the depths of Arlathan Forest, the Ravane Coast, or even the Grand Necropolis in Navarra. These are storied locations. Let's not forget about Minrathous itself. The great thing about setting the game in these storied locations is no one has ever seen them before.
It's extremely exciting. It's honestly, when we started building out these spaces, it's just, the possibilities were endless. There's a very famous line by Dorian talking about Minrathous in particular, you go to Thomshrel and Inquisition, and it's this big, gilded, impressive palace. The only place you've been up to this point is either Kirkwall or Ferelden, both, a little bit less impressive. And Dorian looks at this massive structure, this just absolutely enchanting castle, and says, yeah, that's cute. So finding those moments where we've referenced things and thinking to ourselves, what is the best version of this that we can present? And in the case of Minrathous, what's more spectacular than this massive gilded palace? In the case of Arlathan, what does it look like when you go to the place where the elves had their ancient empire that was run on and fueled by magic? What does the aftermath of that look like, especially when the gods are out in the world and raw magic is seeping back out from the Fade? So one of the things we wanted to get to with the team is really lean on them for their ideas. Like, what excites you about this space? What brings you, a joy and just a thrill to put into the game? And making sure that it fits with the lore. But the great thing about Dragon Age is it's always historically been a series where truth has multiple perspectives, so it just allowed us to build this cohesive space, but also this incredibly colorful, detailed version of each of these spaces we've never been to.
It really is a hub and spoke based design. Your base of operations is the lighthouse. You're going to journey out from the lighthouse into an area of the Fade known as the Crossroads, which is full of mysteries, exploration, branching paths, and you'll take Alluvians to the far corners of northern Thedas. As far as the environments themselves, some of them are more heavily mission focused, which means they're full of narrative beat after narrative beat. And this is one of the constants of our design philosophy is a curated, handcrafted experience. And by
honestly, I like that. It feels like they're basically admitting, yeah, Inquisition was maybe too open. and that's true, I would say that it's not even Mass Effect 2 and 3 style. I would go far as to say that is Dragon Age Origins style, because wanting or not, Dragon Age Origins, you would go to a place and then to an area and there would be a mission there. So in a way, Dragon Age Origins was more mission-based than anything else. Every area you go in Dragon Age Origins, you're kind of going to a mission. And before you leave your camp, before you leave your place, you select your party and you go. So a lot of people bring Mass Effect as the mission style because I find that Mass Effect was more obvious that it did it, but Dragon Age Origins already did that. And I love that they're emphasizing on saying that everything that you do is connected to the story. You don't need to go and collect random wood, random items, and bring to NPCs, because those kind of tasks are kind of silly. It usually comes to me as lazy quest design. Of course, if something like this is to have like a lighthearted, funny quest line, that's something else. But overall, there's not many quests of these that we're interested in doing otherwise. I also find there was something else I wanted to say. Gosh, I might need to pause more often, or I'm going to forget. I also really like, oh yes, the textures. A lot of people are complaining about the visuals of the game. While I do acknowledge that to some, this type of style reminds them of mobile games. Lots of people bring that up. Lots of people say that. I believe that they're doing this with a purpose. I personally love how the world looks, and I really dislike how some of the characters look. The world itself, like when I see the environment, when I see the cities, when I see the places, they look always stunning to me. But when I see the characters, they look very cartoony to me. But then, yesterday we started playing Dishonored, and also, when I think of BioShock Infinite, like, Elizabeth has really big eyes, and she does have a more like cartoonish face. So maybe the reason why they went with it, it's because maybe they're planning that the game ages better. It could be that they couldn't afford hyper realistic graphics like Baldur's Gate brought. And honestly, maybe picking on an art style and sticking with it might be better for the game aging better. Does that make sense? So again, I really wish the character design was a little bit. Yeah, some of the characters have really good faces. I find that the dwarves look really good, but I feel like the worst is the necromancer guy. That guy, he looks straight up out of a cartoon.
By creating that sense of handcrafted, narrative-based experience, we really strongly feel it allows us to tell the best stories possible. We know what's going to happen, we know when it's going to happen, but of course it's influenced by all the decisions that you, the player, have made along the way. However, the game does really open up into some of our larger exploration areas. Now, it's not open world, but these are non-linear areas where you can open up new sections of the map, find new pathways, really leaning into solving mysteries, finding ancient treasures, and some of our apex battles. There's some truly terrifying enemies you're going to encounter when you're left to your own means to kind of explore these larger areas.
We've been in the south of Thetis, and South Thetis is Ferelden, Orlais. Both are still fairly pressed. You know, they still have circles. Mages are viewed with suspicion.
Okay, hold on. Sorbet Face, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for supporting my bunny's rices. Hold on. What did they say about the mages? Okay, the way that she talks about the environment, this person seems to have a lot of passion, and whenever they're speaking about the game, it makes me smile. So I like that. I really like that. I feel like they're definitely trying their best, and to me that means the world. And he starts talking about the mages. 1 second.
Are fairly still.
Oh, before the mages, they talk about when you explore, you will find some of the hardest enemies. To me, that means that the hardest fights in this game are going to be optional fights. The main story fights, they're not going to be that hard. And honestly, I feel like that's how you do it. That's how Baldur's Gate is. So that's good.
We've been in the south of Thetis, and South Thetis is Ferelden, Orlais. Both are still fairly pressed. You know, they still have circles. Mages are viewed with suspicion. But Tevinter has always been this land where mages rule. Mages are in charge. Mages
really like
mages
this.
Run the show. So what does that look like? And
The
as we've
scene.
gone through, you know, DAO, DA2, Inquisition, magic has become more and more
They're
present.
showing the
and part of that
gameplay.
is because Solas has been slowly preparing this ritual for longer than anyone in the Dragon Age universe is really aware of, but also just going into these spaces where magic is by definition and by the lore much more present. It's been fun because, again, we do have rules. We want to make sure we're not violating the lore, violating things we've said before, but it's also, again, that permissiveness of, okay, what is the most interesting way to do this? What's the most interesting way to tell this story? It's also, honestly, as technology has gotten better, we've been able to show Origins DA2 on the Eclipse engine. We could talk about this fantastical magic, but the engine didn't really allow us to show it. For the first time, we're really able to let the visuals speak for themselves and not have to tell the player, trust us, it's spectacular, this magic is really cool. We can actually show you and let you drink it in because it is, again, it's a fantastical setting.
We have a rich history of lore, of world building within the IP. So existing players will be familiar with these places and very excited to go to them and explore their mysteries. But for our new players,
beautiful. Look
we're
at
not
that.
assuming that you know anything about these locations. And I would say that also extends to the characters. We've taken great care in how we introduce each and every single companion, major story figure within the game as they're introduced.
This crew needs a leader. Someone we can count on. Someone that the world can count on.
Hold on. When they talk about the mages and all this is another interesting part. It's because in the previous games, mages were seen like the everyone hates mages. Mages are locked up. They are known to have like a lot of power, so they control their power, and they lobotomize a bunch of mages and all this. And there's those rules in the world. However, when it comes to Tevinter is a part of the world of Dragon Age that we have never closely interacted with. Whenever Tevinter would appear in the previous games, would be usually as evil. They're slavers. They deal with blood magic and things like that. And all those things were hated by everyone in the places that the player hanged around. And another great change is that since we are in Tevinter, none of those are actually true, because the mages here are in rule. So again, it's flipping the rules in a good way, that new people who have no idea, let's say, how mages are so like hated upon in the previous game, it doesn't matter. It's almost like they made this game to be their first game when it comes to requiring new knowledge. Because even though we have a lot of information on how Tevinter might be, nobody has been in Tevinter before.
Hello at Luality and everybody.
Hello, Yummy! Thank you so much for the 18 months. Thank you. Mwah. We made the bunnies right here.
But where are we gonna find her?
So for me personally, and I know for the team, it was important that you could see yourself in the game, and that always begins with the character creator. Who you want to be, who you are, or maybe just a completely different character. And that meant supporting all the options, various lineages throughout the history of Dragon Age, and also the various types of identities and people that exist out in the world. I'm really proud of what we built there, because it is a game where everyone belongs.
Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2 were doing what they could with the technology that they had. Dragon Age Inquisition did a good job of using Frostbite, respected the engine, but this game has been able to execute visually to a degree that just wasn't possible in the past. Everyone moved in exactly the same way. If you put on a suit of armor and you put it on Alistair, you looked exactly the same, standing right beside each other. Now we're able to keep the character coming through in the visuals and the motion, even as you're customizing them.
I did hear some people in chat saying that they don't like how they are like trashing in the old games. I don't think they are trashing in the old games. Like Mark Dara has worked in all these games, and he actually has a YouTube channel where he talks about all those projects in depth and all this. And I feel like what he's saying is that he's happy that they finally have the tools to make some of the stuff that they wish could happen in those other games, but they just didn't have the technology, they didn't have the resources, they just couldn't do it. So a lot of people are saying how they're hating on the other games, but I don't think that's the case. It's more like they wanted to do something with the old games that they were limited to, and now they finally have the chance to. That's very different than hating on them. And Blackburn, thank you so much for your support for my bunny. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Which just wasn't possible in the past.
It's really tough, I must say, in an RPG where you're equipping different types of armor, where you've got different lineages, to create that robust experience. But it's something we absolutely wanted to support. And that comes along with a couple of new to Dragon Age features that really push the limits of what we've seen in RPG character creation before. So first of all, full body customization with pretty robust diversity in terms of body shape, body size, proportions, things of that nature. So that was a pretty big evolution for us.
You think it's going to be like Cyberpunk?
Tremendous effort in our strand hair technology.
Hair!
Numerous hairstyles, because we know how much our fans care about that. I'm one of them as well. The first thing I always look for is show me the hairstyles. But the range of...
Okay, I would say that the previous Dragon Ages were excellent if you wanted to be a balding man. But any other hairstyle outside of that, good luck.
Hairstyles really matters too. It's not just about quantity. It's making sure that we have diverse representation for all types of players. This is
So, more than balding men will be represented in this game. I really hope we can have long hairs. I remember when I first started playing Dragon Age Inquisition, and I went to the character creation, and I saw those hairstyles. I was like, does anyone know a good mod? I feel like it was one of the first things I say. The hairstyles have been atrocious in every Dragon Age game. It was one of the most downloaded mods. So at least they're addressing the issue.
is defining how you want to enter the world. So we took a step back and said, how are we going to incorporate things like your background in a meaningful way? How are we going to incorporate things like how you want to experience the gameplay of the game? And all of those are very important factors. I'm particularly proud of integrating, we call it playstyle, but is effectively difficulty into the character creation process. So you can select a number of preset experiences that your character will adopt and step into the game with, but you can also customize that playstyle. So if you're like me and you're terrible at parrying, you can use that up a little bit. Some of the locations that we'll be visiting are bustling cityscapes. We're going to go right to the heart of the Tevinter Empire. We're also going to go to a city in Antiva called Treviso. These have a dense populace, and we knew we needed to have the tools to support a wide range of NPCs. You're not going to find NPCs that look alike in this game. Every NPC is crafted using the same tools that we're giving to our players, with the exception of some of our custom sculpted characters like the companions. So when you walk up to that market vendor in Minrathous, you can make that character. When you see the guards patrolling the street, you can make that character too. I think it's so interesting, not only as a developer to be able to use player-facing tools and technology, but then as a player to be inspired by the population around you and be able to go replicate that inside of the character creator.
Where's Nevgalis?
That's cool.
Wasn't she
That's really cool.
Venatori got to her first. They grabbed her before we arrived and paid off the bar owner to keep it
That's
quiet.
really awesome.
I'm not surprised our detective did something to piss off a cult of murderous blood mages, but their timing stinks.
These are the most fully realized, complex companions we've ever crafted, and I do believe they are our best. They're complicated, they have complicated problems. And what's interesting, as much as I adore the companions and the journeys I've been on with them in past Dragon Age titles, previously it feels like the companions are going on an adventure with me, the main character, whether it's the hero Ferelden or Hawk, you name it. But in Dragon Age the Veilguard, in many ways, the companions are so fleshed out that it feels as though I'm going on a journey with them. I'm exploring how they think and feel. I'm helping them through their problems.
You know what this makes me think of? Cyberpunk. I feel like Cyberpunk is the best example of a game that you can clearly know how your companions feel. Like when you go do Panem's quest, you get to really know her. When you go do your quests with the people you meet in Cyberpunk, it feels like you get to know their feelings and all this. You get to know how they live, their traditions, and it just made me think of Cyberpunk because of that. I don't know if you will see, they're saying we are, you know? There is not a lot of information in the game, so that's why I thought that would be a good resource for us to know what's going on in this game, because when they announced that gameplay trailer, I was actually hoping that it would do something like this instead. But we didn't have something like this instead. Instead, we just had this footage that didn't show us a lot because it was just a lot of information. It was too much going on. If you sit and watch everything very carefully, you can find a bunch of interesting things, but they just threw that into you, you know? So I'm actually surprised why they didn't do this before.
We're working through their unique character arcs. They feel like my dear friends, and I absolutely adore them. So outside of combat, what that means is they're going to have their own concerns, fears, distractions, and indeed, even their own sanctuaries, their own personal spaces. In our I guess you could call it our base of operations this time, our player hub, the lighthouse. Each of the companions has their own room. And what I love about it is it becomes a reflection of who they are. The more time you spend with them, as the game develops, as you work through their arc, their room and their personalities will evolve and flourish and become more complete as they trust you more and you understand them better. What's interesting, the companions also develop romantically. I'm not just talking about with the main character Rook, I'm talking about with each other. There are moments in the game where two of our companions fell in love with each other, and I had to make some pretty challenging choices as it related to the quest we were on. And it broke my heart. It absolutely did. So I would say...
Okay, that's really cool. Imagine they have like they have mentioned before, yes, so they have mentioned before that depending on your choices and what you do, companions can die. Now imagine two companions, they start dating, they fall in love with each other, and then you send one of them to die. And then you have to face the consequences of letting their loved ones die. Honestly, I love it. I think that's really cool, you know? And or imagine that you don't want your companions to romance each other. So then you cock block your companions. And then what? They're gonna be mad at you? They're gonna hide things from you? I feel like this adds so much interesting things that can happen in the game. I don't know how their systems are, but all these things, they add building blocks for interesting interactions. I find that this is a very awesome building block that we haven't seen in other games like this before, or at least I don't remember seeing that. So depending on how they use this, it could be really fucking cool.
As you're adventuring with them and you're returning to the lighthouse and getting to know them, all of these decisions and conversations and things you learn about them, it endears them to you in a way that I honestly haven't experienced before. And sometimes that fills me with joy, and sometimes it breaks my heart.
All right.
I love that.
I'll take it from here.
Are you sure?
Positive. You three just keep the demons off me while I talk to him.
Varric, Solas isn't gonna stop just because an old friend asks nicely.
Solas needs someone to sell him another option, to help him justify changing his mind.
Me too,
Come
Coffee.
on, Varric. We didn't come all this way just to talk to him.
He was my friend, Rook.
I think
If we don't meet Zevran in a random brothel at Antiva, I am going to be really sad and disappointed at this game. Okay.
this is a game that tries to give the player as much agency as we can, and then reflecting it back on you. Choice and consequence can be really hard to show, but this is a game about agency, about giving you options, and whether that be in how you play or approach combat, whether that be in how you make your character, whether that be in how you decide who you're going to romance.
So the challenge that's always before us is how do we appeal to each of those sensibilities? The person that's there for the story, the person that is there to min-max their character and do the most damage, the person who really wants to lean into tactical versus the player who really wants to lean into action and fluidity. There are a couple of different axes to our progression systems and how your character will develop over time. There is the gear that you'll find along the way, the things you'll equip. There are the progression systems there within where you're upgrading the gear, you're enchanting it. That extends to your companions, by the way. There is also the robust skill tree system that we have. This allows you to take any of our three classes, the warrior, the rogue, or the mage.
Okay, so you can multi-class. That's what she said, right?
Within where you're upgrading the gear, you're enchanting it. That extends to your companions, by the way. There is also the robust skill tree system that we have. This allows you to take any of our three classes, the warrior, the rogue, or the mage.
I think so. No? No, she didn't say multi-class, but she talks about a robust skill tree that allows you to take any of the skills? Wait.
Gear that you'll find along the way, the things you'll equip. There are the progression systems there within where you're upgrading the gear, you're enchanting it. That extends to your companions, by the way. There is also the robust skill tree system that we have. This allows you to take any of our 3 classes.
Okay, any of our 3 classes. Allows you to take any of our 3 classes. Sorry. For some reason, because she was talking about the skill trees, I thought that you could take skills of any of the 3 classes. Does that make sense? For some reason, I connected information that was not connected. My bad. I must have misheard. I definitely misheard.
Rogue or the mage. Specialize them. Each class has 3 different highly distinct specializations, but a skill tree that connects them all together that is easy to use, but also pretty boundless in terms of the gameplay options. And
do you think the skill tree would be like Path of Exile? Because Path of Exile's skill tree, you kind of like, you can kind of take multiple classes, but it's really hard. No, right? No.
And styles of character build you can create.
They showed some pictures of it, but not fully.
We have to stop this demon quickly.
The gameplay in the franchise has been an evolution. Every single entry reimagines what combat is like.
But it does keep that thread that's always been there. When you go from Dragon Age Origins with very tactical combat to Dragon Age 2, which still had pause and play, to Dragon Age Inquisition, again with some tactics, pause and play, but moving towards more action-oriented aspects. In this game, you have focus on Rook, on your character, but still having that control coming into your combat experience from the other people in your party.
Our goal was to make sure we had a system that allowed players to feel like they actually were able to step into the world of Thedas. They're not a player observing from afar. They are inside of this world. The combat system needs to support that. So that starts with our foundation, which is a real-time combat system. But what I will say is that while it provides a level of accessibility and connection, and indeed weight, one of my favorite things is that every attack, every swing of the sword, when you connect, you absolutely feel it. But that is just the baseline. That allows us to get that level of immersion, that I'm actually in this world, I'm a part of it. But again, the abilities, the strategy, linking my companions' abilities together to perform devastating combos. That is really where the depth and the complexity comes into play. Companions as realized characters. We have to take that premise when we talk about how they show up in combat. These are their own people. They have their own behaviors. They have their own autonomy on the battlefield. They'll pick their own targets. As their plots progress, they'll learn how to use their abilities more competently, and it really feels like you're fighting alongside these realized characters in battle. So I love that. I love the believability of it. It feels like we're all in it together. But then when it comes time for the strategy and the progression, I might add, that's where really a sense of teamwork comes into play. As the leader of this party is Rook, when I open the ability wheel, I almost feel like we're huddling up, coming up with a game plan together. I see all the abilities that Harding has, and I see everything that Ballara's capable of. And sometimes I'm using their abilities synergistically. Maybe I'm slowing time with Ballara so that I can unleash devastating attacks with Harding, knocking down the enemy, and then me as Rook, I'm rushing in and capitalizing on this setup they've created for me. It is a game about creating this organic sense of teamwork. Now, there are more explicit synergies as well. We very much have intentional combos where your companions can play off of each other. You can queue up abilities between them, and each of those abilities will go off and have their effect, but it results in this massive detonation where you get enhanced effects.
I like that.
The entire battlefield, all because of planning and teamwork. What makes it really cool is you can introduce Rook into that equation as well. One of my favorite things to do is upgrade some of Harding's abilities, so she will autonomously use some of these abilities that normally I'd have to instruct her to do, and she'll actually set my character up to execute a combo that again has that detonation effect. And what's been surprising, I think, for me, is that it's really changed the way I approach the game.
Okay, so there's some abilities that will have special effects with another. We don't have information on exactly how this is gonna work because they didn't show us. But that sounds really cool. When she brings about slowing time so somebody can do something else, it feels like the kind of stuff that hopefully in the harder difficulties will be something that you need to care about, you know?
I'm very much the pause and play tactical strategic RPG player.
That's
but What I
great!
found is that I entered into kind of a hybrid play style the more familiar I got with this game that we've created, where I'm leaning into the fluid, responsive gameplay. I'm using my abilities of Rook, our main character, in real time, but then I am pausing the action when I want to leverage my companions and string together complex combos or synergies that I've identified on my own. It gives you that moment to think and respond in a way that is truly delightful. I came up through most of my career as a systems designer, working in progression systems and economy and how these little virtual characters behave. But I think the thing that surprised me the most has to be just the passion and the culture that the studio has for telling stories.
Okay, so I feel like that's actually a bunch of good news for combat. I feel like I understand. No, hear me out. You guys know that I love tactical stuff. If they went for something like, if you're fighting easy enemies, that you just get them out of the way, that you just, you just get it over with. But the moment that you start fighting a fight, that you're fighting this huge monster, this huge epic boss, then thinking about it and comboing your abilities coming to priority over just, hack and slash, that sounds optimal. Because then you save your energy for when it's really necessary, and it has a good balance between, it has a good flow between not having to stop at every single annoying tiny enemy, but when it comes to the big fights, then it's very relevant. So I feel like they're trying to go for a mix of both. I'm not sure how it's gonna feel. I'm not sure how it's gonna play out, but it definitely sounds interesting to me. I don't know how they are going to do combo systems. The most combo system that I am familiar with is in Guild Wars 2. I have 15,000 hours in that game, and that game, in my opinion, had a very, very compelling and interesting combo system. However, it was underutilized. But then again, it's an MMO, it's something else. But basically, what Guild Wars 2 had is that some skills were combo starters, they were combo fields, and some skills were finishers. And if you mix different types of fields with different types of finishers, you would have different effects. Like, for example, Firewall would be a combo field of fire. One type of finisher could be a projectile finisher, an arrow. So if you shoot an arrow to a firewall, that will be a flaming arrow on the other side. Another type of finisher would be, since the fire field is fire, and fire is a way of like power and something like this, there was another type of combo finisher called blast. If you use blast in a fire field, you would give might. There was a buff that would buff everyone around you with extra damage and attack. So different types of fields would generate different types of effects depending on which type of finishers you do. When games tell me about combos, this is more or less what comes into my mind. And if this is done well, I feel like it could definitely propel us for a very interesting and tactical gameplay style. For you to set up your companions and also yourself to use the right combos, the right feuds and finishers together. So I feel like this could be really interesting. I feel like a lot of people also remember of combos as pressing buttons in a certain order. I don't think they're talking about this. I could be wrong, but I feel like they are more talking about the system that I was explaining before.
For these characters that we've all created together.
I mean, honestly, I just want to say I am incredibly proud of this project. I'm incredibly proud of this team, and I think the thing I'm most excited about when people start playing this game, people start seeing more about this game, is every little piece, every little thing in this game is because somebody cared. Somebody cared enough to put it in, and you can see that there's a saying that the game reflects the team. I think this one reflects the team that made it in the best possible way.
I'm really excited about this game. It's really been really gratifying to come back onto the team and see everything that they've accomplished in the last couple of years. The game's coming together great. It's really fun. And I'm really looking forward to people getting their hands on it in a little while.
What do you guys think? I think, well, before I see what you guys think, while you guys start, I think that what they showed here, if instead of showing us just the raw gameplay of the game like they did, they showed us this, I feel like people would be a lot more positive about the game right now because it looks really good. When there is somebody actually talking to you and explaining to you some of the features that you should be expecting, it's a lot better than just showing me a gameplay and expect that I understand all the systems that are behind it. I feel like people would be a lot more receptive and see this game with much better eyes if they did this like this. I feel like having somebody, like they got here, 3 people to talk a little bit about different parts of the game. They address the story, they address the gameplay, they address the world. They, you know, I feel like it makes things make more sense. The problem is, this video got released yesterday in a channel I didn't know before, and I only heard about this video because a friend of mine was on YouTube and they put Dragon Age there and this video popped up. Finding good information about this game is really hard. And again, I just feel like there is not enough information to go on about saying this game is going to be the best game, this game is going to be trash. But I definitely have a positive outlook because there was excitement in the voice of these people that worked on it. And just like I could feel the excitement of the voices of people that worked in Baldur's Gate. So they are definitely trying their best. They have shown and talked about features that can potentially be really, really amazing. Not only in storytelling, but also in combat. If they pull those features off well. It all depends on how that is placed and used in the game. That I will only know when I play the game. But those features that they mentioned about the combos, about the companions as well, being able to romance one another, and, you know, companions possibly also being able to die depending on your decisions. All those features, they sound really interesting. that are promising, but it all depends on how it interacts with other features. Because a good feature that doesn't interact with the rest of the game is a lot less appealing. So,
Cut hi, how are you, Lua love?
Grim Shadow, thank you so much. Thank you. So I truly believe that at least the people that they picked to put in here, they sound excited to make a fun and a good game, instead of just trying to sell us and make money. The game looks good. The game seems, they addressed during this video a bunch of problems that were big problems, especially in Dragon Age Inquisition. They addressed that the quests will be tied to everything. You're not going to need to gather random wood and do random tasks for random people. So them recognizing the flaws, the shortcomings of the previous games, to me, it's not a sign that they are calling the older games bad, but that they did things that didn't work out, and now they recognized it, and now they're trying something else. And to me, that's a sign of growth. It's not that they are trashing the past, but they are looking to improve upon what they have done before. And what more can you ask? What more can you ask from it? At the end of the day, I would definitely be playing this game. I hope it's good, because then I'll have a good time. And I hope it's great, because then, hopefully, maybe we'll all get to see a very good Mass Effect 4. But at the same time, if they don't, like, how do I say this? They talk about player agency being very important, but they don't show any examples of it. They just talk about it. They talk about the game being linear, but player choice mattering. And I don't know how that works. I don't know if that's true, you know? So I need more concrete evidence of the things that they claimed. I want to see more of this combo system that they are talking about in these skills. I need to see more of this interaction of player choice. I know I want to have a grasp on how much different the story will be for each player, or if it's just going to change like very little. I can't know the extent and the depth of this game based on this, because they basically, during this entire video, they reutilized footage that they had already shown us before. There is no new footage. There is no release date, and you know, there is not a lot of concrete information. There's a lot of people tweeting about information on this game, and those are people that I don't know. It's not BioWare. I just want BioWare to just sit and tell us the features of the game, instead of just relying on finding information on random tweets, on random places, or random gaming magazines. You know? So there is if I just sit here and I hear what they are telling me, the game sounds really good. But concrete evidence of that, it's lacking. I need to see more before I can fully dive in and be excited for this game. One of the things that drove me to be extremely excited about, for Baldur's Gate was that Larian released a series of videos of the devs not only talking about the features, but also showing them and showing some examples of what things can happen. And then a little after that, we had the early access that we got to try. So the hype for Baldur's Gate, and the reason why I trusted them so much, because there was not only words, but there were concrete evidence. And right now, we are missing the concrete evidence. We are missing information coming directly from the source. We are missing more gameplay. We are missing more things. We are missing, like they talk about in this video, about fantastic side fights, epic encounters that you can see. If they don't want to spoil us the story, then show us an example of these. Show us an example of those combos being used and those combos becoming relevant. So, I understand the caution of a lot of you, and I agree with the caution, because we have been disappointed time and time again, but by a bunch of companies. and I understand this. But at the same time, I feel like we just need to wait a bit, and hopefully they start sharing more relevant information about this game. Hopefully we'll get a date. Hopefully things will work out, because at the end of the day, I feel like us that really love RPGs, we would all win if this game was really good. Even if, maybe the character art is not your favorite and all this, there's a few things, no game is perfect. There's a few things in every game that's not going to be perfect. But if they do exciting things, and if they do things well enough, hopefully we can still enjoy the game in spite of the things that you're not the biggest fan of. Because I feel like that way we would all win to have another great game to play. Yeah, exactly, Criers, exactly. I don't know why they're being so hesitant. And I feel like they're being so hesitant in sharing information about this game that I don't know if I believe that this game is coming out this year. I just feel like if they were more confident, we would have a date. So, yeah. We'll see. But I do hope that when it does come out, it's good. And we get more information about it. Meanwhile, as we get information on the game and all this, we'll see. You guys want to play some Dishonored?